Hello beautiful people and welcome back to my channel. So if you guys follow me on Instagram, then you know that this is my second time recording this introduction because when I recorded the original unboxing, my microphone wasn't on, so you couldn't hear anything I was saying. Fun times. So today's video is going to be about the compost bin that I decided to get. So the reason that I chose to do vermicompost is because one, the worms that I got are European night crawlers and they're able to eat half of their body weight a day in waste. And number two is because it's more compact, so it allows you to have more space in your yard. And then three, because it happens a lot faster than a normal compost bin. And the last reason is because adding worm castings and worm tea to your garden has many benefits, and it gives you a higher yield for your garden. So that's why I decided to do a vermicompost, and let's just jump right into this unboxing. Alrighty guys, let's get into this box. You guys really don't know how excited I am that I finally found a composting system that I think will work for me. So, we get into this box, that's the lid, nothing too exciting. And then there's the worms in a bag wrapped in newspaper. And this is where I got the worms from. It's called Uncle Jim's Worm Farm. And I've heard really good things about them from other gardeners. That's why I decided to order from them. And so the system can come with plastic legs, wooden legs, or no legs at all. But I didn't want the compost bin that close to the ground. I wanted it a little elevated, so I decided to get the plastic legs. And then per the instructions, you're supposed to add water to the worms right away to start the rehydration process. So that's what I'm doing, and then there they are moving on the bottom in there. So the system comes with 2 working trays, and I believe on the website you can order more working trays if you choose to make it have even more layers if you wanted to. And so you only start off with the one because the worms have to acclimate to their new environment, so you can't add any food scraps yet. So you just start off with the one. You could put one to the side in a safe place for now. And then the green tray is the worm catcher tray. So it's recommended that once a week you flush out the worm farm with water. So there is a hole at the bottom, so that way you can do that and collect all the worm juice, worm tea, whatever you'd like to call it. And that tray basically goes there in order to let the water come out, but to prevent the worms from coming out, so you don't lose any of your worm friends. And so I just put the legs in real quick. They're really easy. You just pop them in and twist it, and then put your worm tray back, and then you put the first working tray in. And then the package comes with a brick of coconut peat. So in the bucket next to me, I have it soaking in water so that way it can hydrate, because they come to you dry. And you don't want it soggy and you don't want it dry. You kind of want it at like a medium consistency. So once you start putting that in there, you can add your worms to it afterwards. You see me adding it, and then I decided it was too wet, so I went in and squeezed out some more water to make it less soggy. And then you just add the worms after that, and then you could do one of 3 things after that. You can either buy a worm blanket, and they actually sell it on the Uncle Jim's Worm Farm website that you can purchase, or you can do a layer of newspaper, which is what I did, or you could do a layer of wet cardboard. That's also an option that you can do as well. And basically you just want to make sure the worms have some layer of protection, because obviously the sun isn't going to be keeping the coconut peat worms, so you want to make sure that they have a warm layer and they don't get too cold and freeze to death. So this is where I add the worms, and I actually flip the bag inside out to make sure I get all of the worms out. And I think this came with 100 of them. And the reason why I decided to order from them was because it actually comes for free included with this system. They also had another system to choose from as well, but it was $150, and then you had to pay for the worms on top of it. So I decided to just get this one because, one, I wanted to start off small and then get bigger. Look at my worms, guys. They're beautiful. And then I also liked that it included the worms in the purchase. And then what is nice about it is that if your worms come to you dead, they do replace them free of charge, so you don't have to worry about paying extra if you get any dead worms. And so I just added the wet newspaper on top, and then after that you just cover it and put it in a spot. You could keep it indoors if you want, or if you put it outside, make sure it's not in a place where it's going to get direct sunlight, because it can get too hot in there and kill the worms as well. Okay guys, so I just wanted to hop back just to give you a little rundown of what you can and cannot put in a worm compost bin. So it's going to be different than what you can do in a normal composting bin, because obviously the worms are living things and they're going to be a little more sensitive. So some things you can add are food scraps. There are some exceptions that I will get to in a moment. You can do melon rinds, you can do roots, leaves, stems, that kind of stuff. And it's actually better that when you add the food, you add it to one area of the worm farm, and then a few days later add it to another area of the worm farm. So that way the worms are concentrating on one area and decomposing all of that first before they move on to the next area. So when you do add your food scraps, just make sure that you do it one section at a time instead of just distributing it across the entire worm farm. You can also add eggshells. You can add coffee grinds. You can add tea leaves or tea bags. You can add grass clippings, dead leaves. You can add paper or cardboard, just as long as it's not any glossy paper. You can add non-treated wood products. And then I also heard that you can add dryer lint as well. So some stuff to not add to your vermicompost are meats, grease, oil, onions, garlic, stickers. Worms can't decompose stickers, and that does include the stickers that come on your produce. No plastics, breads, dairy products, milk, no treated wood products, and then lastly, no diseased or infected plants. And like I described in the voiceover, you guys want to make sure that you're waiting at least a week for the worms to acclimate to their new environment before you start adding food scraps. I'm actually going to get a countertop compost bin, because you only want to add a handful at a time until the worms really get their system down and they start reproducing. So I'm going to get an additional countertop compost bin, so that way when I cut up foods or vegetables or empty out my coffee maker every morning, it's there, and then I can walk out whenever I can in order to add it to the compost bin. So I think that's going to be the system that I have for now. I can't wait to see the benefits in my garden from using the worm castings in the worm tea, and I'm just glad to be able to do something that's a little bit better for the environment. So that's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.